All right, so welcome back to the channel, and unless it's your first time, in which case just welcome for the first time. Today I've got something drastically different than anything I've ever uploaded before. I've got ACC, okay, Assetto, Corsa Competizione. I might have botched the pronunciation on that a bit, so please forgive me if I did. But this is a game that I had played probably. I'd done a lap or two before trying to jump into some of this multiplayer action. And this is my first multiplayer race that I've ever done. And this is not like a competition race. This is just a quick join multiplayer. I don't know what you'd call it, almost like a public match, a pub match. I don't know. Anyway, there are, I think, 6 cars in this at the start of the race. So this is the PS4 version of the game. I have a PS5. This is the PS4 version of the game. And ACC, or the developers rather, are releasing a PS5 patch in February. And I'm recording this in the first week of January. So we're roughly a month and a half away maybe from them releasing this PS5 patch. And initially I was sort of planning to wait to play this game until the PS5 version came out. And I've had the game for 6 months probably. I got it pretty cheaply on eBay, got the physical version, and I just tried it, and I didn't love the way it looked. I think I got a little spoiled playing PS5 games and just seeing how good they looked. And this, it doesn't look bad by any means. It just sort of looks like an older PS4 game, which is what it is. So that completely makes sense, and that's completely fair. But I was talking with a friend recently, a big sim racer, Top Sim, who really gets into a lot of the different games, and he, of course, has told me that the physics are good in ACC. It's a really good sim racing game, and we were having this conversation probably a week ago, and it just sort of made me think, oh, you know what? I'm gonna jump back into that game, just give it a try. I've been playing a lot of F1 this season, but it's always fun to kind of branch out. Sometimes I'll play some GT Sport. Obviously, I'm playing this right here. So that's just the context, the situation here on what's happening. I just showed you a qualifying lap. I just jumped into the lobby, did a qualifying lap. It looks like I am P3 based on qualifying. And again, I've played this game for like 5 minutes, so I'm incredibly unfamiliar with everything. So for instance, this rolling start procedure, I've never done a rolling start procedure in game. The GT Sport has rolling starts, but the game does the rolling start for you. So you just sort of are auto driven into the rolling start, and then you hit the gas pedal and you drive. So in this situation, I've got this rolling start procedure. I'm a little confused because I was P3. These guys have now all passed me. They don't appear to be forced to give their position back. I don't know if maybe I was just supposed to crowd up there with them. I have no idea. I'm admittedly confused by that. But these two guys immediately run into each other, and I am immediately pretty far behind, somewhat. So I'm not planning to win this race. I'm honestly just on here trying to put consistent laps down and see what can happen, right? And that's sort of my bread and butter in most racing games, is just be consistent and count on other guys to make mistakes instead of thinking that I'm going to be the fastest car out there, because I'm just not, especially in this game that I have put a total drive time of 5 minutes into before I started this session. So I'm not expecting much from this, but I'm just trying to give it my best go and do what I can, right? So I do appear to be catching this guy in front of me just a little bit, which I think is pretty nice. It looks like I'm P5, if I'm understanding the HUD correctly, which it's a possibility that I'm not understanding the HUD correctly. But because there is a lot going on. It's somewhat confusing, and I thought for the longest time that the car numbers, so you see in the bottom left 5 JM Titan 10 Lamborghini logo, and then 563 it looks like. And also, so I go to the left side there. I didn't feel like that was my fault. I felt like he kind of just drove into the side of me. I thought I had room on the left side, and if he had not pinched me, then we would have been fine, but I guess the onus is on the overtaking driver to overtake safely, some people like to say. So I don't know. Maybe I could have done more there. But I thought for the longest time that 563 next to the Lamborghini logo was my driver rating. And I was confused as to how I'd come into this race and had a driver rating that was higher than anyone else despite never having played the game. I found out after the race that that's actually the car number. So I was car number 563. So that, one of those things that you figure out. The rolling start, I still don't really understand. It kind of just seems like I got, what's the word? Unfairly passed in the rolling start procedure. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I plan to do this race on this game some more, but this already is not going well for me in my first race. It's a 10-minute endurance race here, and had a decent start there, I would say, after being passed in the rolling start procedure, but then obviously got into that little scuffle with your local yay, and that cost me a lot of time. So at this point, I'm just hoping that maybe I can catch up with some guys and maybe take advantage of people going off track or something, right? So got a notification about caution on the track, car slow, and I just, I was trying to be watchful, did not expect that car to be sitting there across the racing line. So I ran directly into the side of him, and it looks like I destroyed his car because he disappeared right after I hit him. I got severe damage on the front, and in an absolute swing, and so I've got a wheel, right? And I didn't know how to reverse. And I thought, if I just pressed the brake, it would automatically reverse for me. That's not what happened. It turns out you have to shift down and then reverse, which I now know. And, there are other games like that, but I didn't really think to try it. So I struggled there trying to find out how to turn around, and eventually just sort of spun a bit and got out of it. And now you can't see it, obviously, but I'm sitting here playing on my wheel, Logitech G29, and the wheel, after I hit that car, the wheel completely, it was turned sideways. So instead of being the way it's usually supposed to be with the logo facing up to 12 o'clock on a clock, it's now the logo facing to 3 o'clock. So I have the wheel sideways and I'm trying to steer. It's the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life. I thought for a second that my wheel was broken. I really did. I thought it was broken. And you'll see it here, but I get some pit time, and after I exit the pits, the wheel was actually fixed. So I think it's a feature, not a bug. I don't know. Comment if that's if you know otherwise. But I thought at first it was a bug, but apparently it's a feature where if your car gets basically destroyed, then your wheel sort of is updated, I guess, to realistically reflect the fact that you're having trouble driving. And I had a lot of trouble. I mean, my car was in shambles, so I had a lot of trouble with traction and or with aero and stuff, which is even, this is not an F1 car, so it's not like aeros to the same degree that you would expect in an F1 car, but it was absolutely terrible after I got into that wreck. So, and they told me that I had to pit. I got a driver message about it, or a race control message about it, and I did. I would have pitted anyway. But it was hard to figure out what I was supposed to do in the pits. I just showed you that. I didn't know where to pull in. So, frankly, my first race was a disaster. I got P3, which just probably reflects more on the other guys in the session than it does on me. But, I'd like to play this game some more, and hopefully I never have a race that is as much of a mess as this was. So, we'll grow from this, we'll learn from this, and hopefully we'll get a win at some point soon.